More Vol coverage as they're in preseason camp is now. 4Downs brought to you by our friend Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com.
4 downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
Downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
All right, so 4Downs, we're going to focus on Tennessee's defensive line, the best one, the one with the most upside, the one that just can't lose this season, and the best bet as a whole. 4Downs is brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. With Andy Mason, you get the best prices and the best service in the biz. That's pretty phenomenal. Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Let's get to 4Downs right now. And first, Cooper Mays, what should people be doing that are on board?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Thank you. And turn your notifications on. What down, Coop?
Coop here. First down.
Perfect. Tennessee's best defensive lineman right now is?
Are we counting edge rushers?
Yes.
Tyler Barron. I think Tyler Barron is a superstar this year.
I would go Tyler Barron as well, but I could make a strong argument for Omari Thomas because I think he is going to be the most consistent interior defensive lineman. But you got
it's also because Dave secretly prefers Memphis to Knoxville, so he wants the Memphis kid over the Knoxville kid.
I don't even track where these young men are from. I treat each and every one of them like they're from Powell High School. Second down, Coop.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Most upside defensive lineman. I'll go first. You know how I feel about this guy, Elijah Simmons. If anybody on this football team goes from good to superstar this year, either side of the ball, either position, I believe it will be Elijah Simmons would make that sort of jump.
So I haven't seen it yet, but he was so highly touted when he was recruited. I can't imagine it won't show up eventually. So I'm still going to hold out for Tyre West. So Dave, you tell me, why hasn't he emerged yet? Is there a reason? Do we know? But I have to believe in him.
I think there's a bunch of dudes right now that have similar talent. And I think there's maybe one or two guys that have special talent. He might be that guy, but I've heard from a lot of people that it is Simmons. So a little bit of whispers in the other direction, and I could have picked West in front of you. So I think he's in that conversation. A lot of things click. I mean, we like to talk about John Henderson and Albert Haynesworth. Well, John Henderson, it clicked the moment he walked on campus, even though that was the old Prop 48, right? Where he missed his
He couldn't play in 98, yeah.
Yeah, it was a Prop 48, which is such a goofy rule. And then you had Albert Haynesworth that showed up and probably wasn't really ready to be a starter in the SEC because of maturity issues. So it happens for different guys. So I don't know, but it's going to be one of them. I think one stands up, and I think you'll have Omari Thomas as kind of your go-to. What down are we on? Should I ask you or Coops? Coop got me?
Coop's got you.
Coop's got me. Third down. Good.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right. One of these players is going to get left out of the hustle, okay? That's the way preseason camp works. And suddenly you go from thinking you're going to be a starter and the opener against Virginia to you're lucky to get out on the field and a blowout win against Austin P, and it's 38-3 in the middle of the third quarter. Which one of these cats gets left out? Who needs to worry? Who needs to up their camp production like now on the defensive line?
Okay, I got one for you, and it's a combination.
Because he has more than one name? Because that's my guy. Go ahead.
It's Joshua Josephs and James Pierce Jr., and I'm going to tell you why. We
had both very good picks.
Yes, I had a lot of hype behind them as edge rushers going into the year, but Daevin Hobbs emerging in fall camp pushes both of them back.
I think they're very good. I'm going to throw another one out there just for differences because we basically said that Simmons, your guys, and now this guy, Omar Norman Lott. You know, he came in as a transfer. You don't come in as a transfer to sit a while, do you? That's not the plan, right?
Nope. You come into play. But also, you always have to wonder this, Dave. We've always talked about this with the and this is still going to be a thing in the transfer portal. If a player transferred, a lot of times there's a reason.
Okay, I'm taking that statement out of my lexicon. And here's the reason why. I think it was 110% true. They went to junior college for a reason. Nowadays, with the transfer portal being so open, I think they can legitimately just want to make the move. So if you look at his sophomore season, he played 9 games with 2 starts at defensive tackle. In his final season with the Sun Devils, finished the year with 14 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and 2 sacks. So maybe he's.
Maybe it's because Herm Edwards got fired. It's possible. Maybe he didn't like the way Arizona State handled that. But I would agree with you that it's players can go where they want. But I still think but if they go from schools on equal level, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn because maybe Arizona State's, they're probably not on equal level to Tennessee. So to be fair, but if you go from if you transfer from Georgia to Tennessee, or if you transfer from Florida to Tennessee, then I start to wonder because I'm like, well, why did you transfer then? Yeah,
but you had Cade. I mean, Cade Mays transferred from Georgia.
That was a very unique situation, and we know the whole. I mean, his dad, his brother, Cade Mays always wanted to go to Tennessee. He just committed the year that Butch Jones lost complete control of the program, and if it were any other time period, Cade Mays would have committed to Tennessee.
Yep, I would agree with that. Okay, so where are we now? We did most upside defensive lineman, can't lose. All right, best bet offensive lineman based off where they are right. Defensive lineman, best bet defensive lineman where they are right now. Who would you pick based off of their upside and where they stand right now? The old, are you buying or are you selling? 4th down, Coop?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
Well, mine. I just think he's going to come through with his conditioning. There's too much ability. It's Elijah Simmons. The flip side is I haven't been told by anybody that's been the case, but I just think there's too much potential there to motivate a young man, and he will. Do I feel great about it? No, I do not.
So what you think about Elijah Simmons is what I think about Tyler Barron. And we're back to the best one from the first down because Tyler Barron, you may not remember this because you weren't covering Tennessee in 2021, but he was the starter at edge. Byron Young took his job. Barron entered the transfer portal for a minute in January and then came back. And then he was solid last year. I think if Barron flips that switch to say, I need to, buckle down, I still think that we're talking. I think he could be better. I think raw talent wise, he's better than Byron Young was. He just has to flip that switch.
That's a pretty strong statement. If he is, then he's going to be better. He's bigger. His size speed ratio is a little bit bigger. And if you want somebody who I think right now, I mean, that's the guy they can't lose. I mean, that's my guy. But I believe Elijah Simmons has a greater floor and a greater ceiling. Well, maybe the same floor, actually. Maybe I'm misusing that term. I think he has a greater ceiling athletically, whereas maybe not the same floor as they're both. If they don't take a step, then they're just dudes, right?
Yeah. Yes, but as far as guys that can't lose, that is where I go to Omari Thomas because I think you say Elijah Simmons upside. Omari Thomas is the only guy we know can be good at defensive tackle. Like there's about 4. If Tyler Barron or Roman Harrison doesn't work out, there's now Daevin Hobbs, and so but there's just Omari Thomas at defensive tackle right now.
No, completely agree. He is the one proven commodity on that group. The rest of it could be very good, but the rest of it could be average too. And then you get into where Tennessee is having to move an awful lot of guys around as far as twists and stunts, which we've talked about. That makes you more vulnerable on, I don't care how good you are at it on the second level, and probably to some extent on the third level.